We're looking mainly at granite and other extractives in the sector. This particular FGG is looking at gemstone and granite value chains. And like I said, we really believe in addressing structural causes of violence against women and girls. This is why you see we are actually focusing mainly on women, and I can see that the room has a lot of women miners in here. There are so many issues that affect women who are in mining because it's ordinarily thought to be a male-dominated industry, and what we are saying is we need to make it easier for the sisters to get into that industry and also run their, get them in the value chains in a sustainable manner. Remember, we are talking about finite resources, and what we are pushing under Fair, Green and Global is that we mine in a sustainable manner and we leave a good planet Earth for our children and their children afterwards. So I will not take much of your time. I just thought I would speak to this a little, and then we can get into the deeper issues as we proceed in the day. And I wish you all a pleasant inception meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rumbi, for those introductions. Indeed, we have a full house of various stakeholders that are going to be key in terms of the implementation of this very important project. We really want to urge our online participants to understand that you are really part of us, and we have you with us, and this is going to be very interactive, and please share your comments or your insights so that we are also keeping track, and we can also give an opportunity for us to also discuss collectively. May I call upon Mr. Joy Mabenga, who's the Country Director for FGGIII Zimbabwe, to give us the welcome remarks.
Good morning. Good morning. You sounded as if you are feeling very, very cold. It's just the inception of winter, isn't it? Winter is not yet really upon us, so we must exhibit a bit of energy in ourselves. It's good for us, it's also good for the nation. In absentia or virtually, or present here, the House of Assembly, the Parliament of Zimbabwe Secretariat, and respected parliamentary committees here present and also following virtually, the respected Dutch Ambassador to Zimbabwe, representatives of local authorities, in particular Mutoko Rural District Council, Urungwe RDC, Karoi RDC, and their district development coordinators, here present and engaged. Government institutions here present and attending virtually. Our esteemed partner, Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association, civil society organizations here present and attending virtually. The gender and extractors here present and following virtually. The Publish What You Pay Coalition here present and also attending virtually. Activista Zimbabwe, attending virtually. Fellow colleagues from FGGIII Zimbabwe, I recognize here present the head of programs, Andrew Chikore, sitting right at the back. Rumbidzai Makoni, who is here. Takaite Ibote, responsible for information. Darlington, who is the contact person for this FGG. I saw Shamiso. If I haven't mentioned any of you colleagues also, please pardon me, I would not have seen you, but I recognize you. Those that are also following from FGGIII Zimbabwe and the entirety of the FGGIII family. Our distinguished guests here present and also following virtually. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you to welcome you to the Fair, Green and Global FGG3 All Stakeholders Inception Meeting. We recognize that the government of Zimbabwe, through its Vision 2030, has a goal of achieving an upper middle income economy by 2030. To that effect, in October 2019, we also take note that President Mnangagwa launched a strategic roadmap to achieve a US $12 billion mining industry by 2023. As government ramps up efforts to increase the sector's contribution to the economy. During this launch, he mentioned that the mining industry was key to government's goal of achieving the upper middle income economy by 2030. The National Development Strategy 1 correctly points out that Zimbabwe's mineral resources are underexplored. The country is endowed with over 40 minerals, including gold, platinum group metals, that is PGMs, diamonds, coal, gemstones, granite, manganese, chrome, lithium, asbestos, iron ore, copper, nickel, cobalt, limestone, coal bed methane, CBM, and rare earth minerals, but these are, as I said earlier, underexplored. The NDS1 further points out to the weak governance in the sector as being one of the major limiting factors. To achieve increased and sustainable growth in the mining sector, the NDS1 stipulates that priority will be to improve the ease of doing business in the mining sector, and this will be realized through finalization and implementation of mineral-specific policy frameworks and a comprehensive review of the Gold Trade Act, Precious Stones Trade Act, and amendment of the Mines and Minerals Act. As has been alluded to earlier, Action 8 seeks to achieve three things, and these are poverty alleviation, social justice, and gender equality. The initiatives by the government of Zimbabwe present an opportunity to achieve our objectives in a complementary manner. So the FGG3 project thus comes at a perfect time when the government of Zimbabwe is implementing the NDS1, whilst Action Aid globally is reshaping our strategic implementation framework to focus on systems change for economic justice as one of our major focal areas, and that goes side by side with climate justice as in search of the systems change also. This enables us to positively contribute to the growth of the mining sector, at the same time addressing inequality and poverty gaps and ensuring participation of marginalized groups and communities in economic activity. Furthermore, we believe that there are a number of issues that need to be addressed in the search for social and economic justice, particularly as we walk this journey together. Number one, poor mineral resource governance is one of the major causes of the disconnect between mineral extraction and development, causing economic instability, poor service delivery, in particular gender-responsive services, and poverty, which has exacerbated human development. Of course, the NDS1 buttresses this point. Number two, the country continues to lose potential revenue due to smuggling of minerals, especially in the diamond, gold, and gemstone sector, where, of course, also artisanal mining is taking place. There is little attention being paid to the gemstone industry now. We are, however, glad that the Minerals Marketing Corporation of Zimbabwe, MMCZ, has recently started to improve policies in the gemstone value chain. The value of the black granite sector is also understated, and this remains a cause for concern. Thirdly, human rights violations and environmental management challenges continue to undermine community development. And lastly, communities lament limited community beneficiation and ownership, and also how the artisanal small-scale mining sector has been neglected in terms of having policy and law recognizing and regulating the sector. We firmly believe that for Zimbabwe to achieve Vision 2030, these issues need to be addressed, and the FGG3 has been designed to address these issues. We also believe that participation of marginalized groups of mining communities, especially women and youth, in trade and value chains, as well as creating value chains that place emphasis on respect for human rights, including women's rights, will lead to a realization of a just, sustainable transition, which will contribute to us achieving Vision 2030, Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, and a system change towards and for economic justice. We hope that the 5-year journey that we are about to embark on together will be an exciting journey, full of successes and, of course, lessons learned. We are alive to the fact that we are not the only ones in this kind of work, and that we do not have all the answers to the issues we currently seek to address through this project. But we are hoping that we will be able to make our mark and register notable achievements. Together, we should be able to do this. We are also willing to learn as we go in order to attain our project goals, which we believe will be possible within the stakeholders here present, making their invaluable contribution. Let me take this opportunity to appreciate our funding partner, the FGGIII Netherlands, and the Dutch Foreign Affairs Ministry for making this conceptualization a possibility, and our esteemed partner, as I mentioned before, Zella, for being our like-minded all-weather friends. I hope that we are going to sort of find a direction here together on the exciting journey that we are here and about to embark on. Once again, welcome to FGGIII All Stakeholders Inception Meeting, and once again, thank you for making time of your very busy schedules to be here with us as we chart this path together. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mabenge, for those very in-depth and very insightful remarks in terms of understanding and having an in-depth synopsis on what is before us as a country in terms of some of the issues and the critical issues related to the mineral resource governance of our country. And I think what is very exciting about this project is the way it is really located within the national development discourse of the nation in the fight to ensure that the natural resources of our country, especially the mineral resources, contribute to the broad-based development of our country. And I think what is critical from the remarks from Mr. Mabenge is the complementarity that development practitioners such as FGGIII Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association are locating themselves within this whole national development trajectory and providing some form of complementarity to the efforts that government, the private sector, and the citizens are doing. And I think this is really exciting for me, and I don't know if it's also exciting to you all that are here and all that are joining us online, that this is really an opportune project where we really want to ensure that mineral resources, especially the gemstone industry, which I think is really underexploited and really is a mechanism for women to derive their economic livelihoods from, is tapped into, and working with the different actors that are present here. Thank you so much, Mr. Mabenge. And as been highlighted, this project is being supported by the Dutch Foreign Affairs Ministry, and as a critical partner in support of this very important project, we have a representative from the Dutch ambassador, Mr. Fortune Gwaze, who will be presenting and who will be sharing opening remarks virtually. So over to Mr. Fortune Gwaze.
Thank you very much, Madam Facilitator. Let me switch on my camera. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. We speaking on behalf of the Dutch ambassador to Zimbabwe, Ms. Barbara van Hellemond, who unfortunately could not join us for this launch, but she sends her regards and she wishes this program all the success. It is my honor and privilege to join you virtually today to speak briefly about the importance of this program we are launching to the Netherlands and to Zimbabwe. The Netherlands champions sustainable development through supporting civil society organizations worldwide in protecting the rights and interests of a wide range of groups in society. This is on conviction that this is crucial to achieve a more sustainable and inclusive development. The government of the Netherlands is co-financing an alliance of Dutch civil society organizations, including FGGIII in the Fair, Green and Global Alliance. This program in particular cuts across 5 SDGs, namely gender equality, SDG 5, decent work and economic growth, SDG 8, reduced inequalities, SDG 10, sustainable cities and communities, SDG 11, and peace, justice, and strong institutions, SDG 16. This alliance is working with partners worldwide to increase the participation of organized, mobilized, and informed civil society, especially women, to advance inclusive and green trade and value chains. On the importance of multi-stakeholder dialogue, the Netherlands is famous for its polder model, that is the idea of tackling challenges and opportunities via dialogue with every party having a say. That having said, we appreciate that different stakeholders gathered today to discuss the Gemstone and Granite sector value chain and beneficiation and the empowerment of women within the sector. With a projected contribution of US $12 billion by 2023, it is evident that there are many economic opportunities in the mining sector in Zimbabwe. The mining industries have a huge potential to contribute to the country's economic at the national, but as well as at the household income level. To achieve that potential, a careful effort from all stakeholders involved is necessary. Due to gender equality efforts by the government of Zimbabwe and other players, women have become more active in the artisanal mining sector. And today, we are happy to be launching the Fair Green Global 3 FGGIII 2021 to 2025 project titled Nourishing Women and Marginalized Groups Participation in the Gemstone and Granite Value Chains. The balancing of trade and aid has been a major priority for the Dutch government. Our vision through this project is a vibrant and result-oriented participation of marginalized groups of mining communities, especially women, in trade and value chains that places emphasis on respect for human rights, including women's rights. The realization of a just, sustainable transition which contributes to sustainable development goals cannot go unmentioned. We hope that the program and your discussion today will further contribute to the empowerment of women within the entire value chains of this critical sector. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fortune Gwaze. I think what is very also interesting is that beyond the project's contribution to the national policy discourse, I think from the remarks from the Dutch embassy, we have actually gotten insights that globally this project is contributing to us achieving the sustainable development goals. And I think that is very phenomenal and very critical, because I think it is really a project that is contributing to the whole global discourse of ensuring that Zimbabwe's mineral resources are tapped into and economic opportunities that are in line with promoting gender equality are attained through this project. And I think as a collective, the onus is amongst us to really reflect and see where we are going to be locating ourselves through our different institutions in terms of really critically ensuring that the 5 years upon us with this project really comes to fulfillment. But let me also thank on behalf of Zela and FGGIII, the Dutch Ministry, for being a consistent partner. I think for all that have been following, this is the third phase, and the project started in 2010, and definitely this shows the importance and the valuation that the Dutch Ministry or the Dutch government has towards the national economic development of Zimbabwe as a country and for its citizens. And over now, I would like to ask the FGGIII Netherlands, which we also have alluded to and understood that they are also part of the global alliance of the Dutch civil society that are being provided support through this project, to also share with us. They've been part of this journey for the past 10 years, and it is important to also get insights in terms of their understanding and their thinking towards this whole project. We have Joyce, who's joining us virtually from FGGIII Netherlands.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us from FGGIII, the Netherlands. My name is Sophie Cuizera, and I'm representing for FGGIII on behalf of the whole team implementing the Fair, Green and Global program, and particularly representing for our director, Marit Mai, that couldn't join us today. I thank you very much for having us, and I'm already very impressed by hearing the words of the ambassador, but also the director of FGGIII Zimbabwe and Zela. We are very happy to be implementing the third version or the third part of the Fair, Green and Global program. And I would like to thank everyone again for being part of this. And I'll just tell you a little bit more about this Fair, Green and Global program and why we embarked on a third program after the two we done before, and how much we are looking forward to working with Zimbabwe on this. As the ministry just enlightened us on, this is the third term funded under the program of the Dutch ministry called Power of Voices. This is a program that we're doing in an alliance with 5 other Dutch organizations, but also 2 other Asian organizations. And in this program, we are implementing in over 100 countries with almost 1,000 partners worldwide. FGG believes that poverty, inequality, and exclusion are caused by power asymmetries, and we see that power over people and over planet is the one cause of problems in realizing fair and green trade value chains. And that's why we're very happy that the ministry offered us this opportunity to be able to implement in Zimbabwe, but also in various other countries, to make sure that we can contribute into creating these fair and green trade value chains that we have been working on for over 10 years. Those most affected by the consequence of the globalized trade and value chains often have the least to say about it. Yes, yet we see that most of them also have a lot more to offer in analysis, knowledge, and practice to be able to transform societies. This is also why we aim to focus this program on the most marginalized, and particularly women, in the realization of this program in the coming 5 years. The program now, as I already mentioned, is implemented in Zimbabwe, but also in 5 other countries that FGGIII, the Netherlands, is working on. We will work on gender justice in various value chains, such as energy, mining, palm oil, but also agricultural supply chains and value chains over the whole world. Women's rights and environmental rights, but also the overarching human rights will be at the core of all our programs, while we will be promoting and supporting sustainable and just feminist alternatives. We are happy to be part of this inception meeting, particularly because we have a long track record of working together with Zimbabwe on the extractive sector. We have worked together previously in the African Extractives Working Group, amongst other African nations that have the mineral supply chains as one of the core programs to implement, and we are very much looking forward to continuing this in the coming 5 years. We appreciate your invitation, and yet again, also on behalf of the whole team of the Netherlands, we are happy to be part of this inception, and we're looking forward to working together in the coming 5 years. I would like to thank you very much for having us, and let's have a good discussion today further, and start this working process of 5 years in a very fruitful way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sophie, our representative from FGGIII Netherlands. May I kindly call upon the representative of the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association Director, Mrs. Joyce Machiri, to just give us a historical background of the FGG project in terms of its work in Zimbabwe, some of the achievements and challenges, and the new twist that we are all coming here at, looking at the issues of value chains within the Gemstone and Granite sector. Over to you, Mrs. Machiri.
Thank you, Madam Facilitator. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. To start with, Zela actually has a very long history and association with the Fair Green Global project in collaboration with our long-standing partner, FGGIII, International Zimbabwe. And as a matter of fact, FGG laid a foundation for Zela's work on extractives under its mining and extractive industries program. And until 2009, Zela's work was mainly focused on environmental governance, and we had not done any work on mining. It was only around 2010 that Zela began to think of broadening its work from the narrow shift on environmental rights to natural resource governance, environmental, economic, social, and cultural rights. The FGG work actually started with a conversation with Dr. Tsitsi Choruma, and then the then FGGIII, who was the then FGGIII International Zimbabwe Country Director, and his then Deputy Director, Mr. Philemon Jazi. And from that conversation, Zela got a small grant of about 15,000 under the then Netherlands International of Southern Africa. We actually used to call it NISA. And among the activities done were a research titled in the Great Dyke, Threats and Opportunities and the Creation of Great Dyke Communities Network. And I think this is where we actually got in touch with the Monroe Ngesi communities and actually got to register this group under the FGG I project or program. And it was during implementation of this NISA grant that the Fair Global and Green was conceived, which started around 2010 and expanded to Marange, Mutoko, Buhera, and Chipinge. I'm sure we have some of these representatives in the House. And this relationship has continued under successive FGGIII International Zimbabwe country directors. And after Dr. Choruma, we had Mr. Roni Murungu, and now we have Kule Joy. He's in the House. And there's also been successive FGGs. That is, we have FGG I, FGG II, and now we are on FGG III. However, what is inescapable is the fact that the NISA grant and its successor FGG was instrumental in laying a foundation for our mining work, and this has continued today. And while we have been able to attract other funders or donors, it all started with NISA and FGG has continued to be an integral part of our programming, and now with expansion to other areas. I'm sure the country director, Mr. Kulejoy, sorry, I'm used to calling you Kulejoy, but he's the director for FGGIII International Zimbabwe, Mr. Joy Mabenge. Actually, we used to focus mainly on the diamond sector and the granite sector. But what I'm happy about is we are now focusing on the granite sector and also the precious minerals, which actually has been, I think he mentioned that not much of focus or attention has been given to these minerals, but actually they are an integral part of our livelihoods, of different people's livelihoods, and also they actually have a potential to contribute to the economy. And actually, I'm happy we didn't leave behind granite, because still it's one mineral also that people kind of look down upon, even looking at the policies and what is happening in the sector. So I'm happy we still have it, and we're going to actually work on the issues to do with poor resource governance that you mentioned about in the granite sector. So as Zela, we thank FGGIII International Zimbabwe for that support we got then, and we continue to get now and in the future. So apparently, from 2013, the project has mainly been focused on building the capacity of communities and civil society organizations to demand the fulfillment of the environmental, economic, social, and cultural rights, which we call the EESCRs, as well as promoting legal reforms that promote rights and interests in natural resource management. The project has also been aimed at achieving corporate accountability measures to ensure that the goals of social justice, decent work, and environmental sustainability are furthered. So Some of the strategies that we have been implementing under the FGG1 and FGG2 project include the Community Human Rights Monitoring Program, where mainly we have been training communities to be able to monitor their environment or the mining areas through what we termed the community monitoring trainings. And we also established community groups in Mondorongezi, Mutoko North Development Trust, Save Odzi Community Network, Chiadzwa Community Development Trust, and as the project progressed, new groups were brought on board, and this includes the Marange Development Trust, ADA Transal, and the Zimbabwe Diamond Allied Workers Union. And apparently why we actually emphasized on working and registering these groups was to ensure that they exist as legal entities, and actually that they will be able to engage and approach the various mining companies, as well as government or government departments or local authorities in their areas with power and authority, because as existing as a legal entity, it gives them that power to be able to approach the various stakeholders with regards to mining issues. We also had dialogue meetings that actually included civil society organizations, communities, mining companies, local governments, and also different local leadership. And this was done our engagement strategy. Mainly, basically, you find that this was missing in the extractive sector. One person was doing the other, different stakeholders doing whatever that they're doing. And apparently, we actually had to bring them together to just discuss some of the issues affecting the mining sector, and as the stakeholders affected by mining, to actually discuss some of the solutions to some of the challenges that had been affecting the mining sector, as we also believe in engagement as a strategy. And then we also had to participate in regional and international processes, and this was mainly for exchange learning and scouting for opportunities. And we also have participated as Zela and as the communities. And this actually helped us to learn a number of issues. I think it was during this, the FGG implementation, that we also had to start running with issues of the tax justice. We also had to start running with some campaigns whereby communities would also do some initiatives such as the data extraction and the like. It was from these, from the participation in the regional and international processes, that we actually had to learn these initiatives. And we also had expert training and advice to parliamentarians. And mainly the rationale behind doing this is to just actually build capacity and also momentum from the supply side, not to only build capacity from those who will be holding to account or from the demand side, but also to the supply side. And we also had some investigative research, and we also have been doing litigation. So let me just get quickly into the key successes under FGG1, and then I'll get into other successes under FGG2. So the first grant, FGG1, actually, one thing that we are so proud of is that it actually managed to build the knowledge and understanding of the economic, social, and cultural rights by community groups. And project champions and several community leaders understood and articulated rights to life, education, clean water, health and environment, right to education, right to benefit from diamonds and black granite. And also, they now have the ability on their own to investigate some right violations within their mining areas. And this is mainly being done by the community monitors that we had actually built their capacity to do so. And there's also actually growth of some community-based organizations, and now they can now stand on their own, and they are doing fundraising, and this includes the Mutoko Development Trust. We also have Zidao, Socknet. They actually managed to fundraise through what we call the Green Grant Funds, which through this they managed to purchase. These include local meetings, engaging local leaders, engaging mining companies, the likes of the Socknet, which engaged ZCDC on water pollution. They also engaged EMA on issues of water pollution. And we also have Marange. We also have community monitors and CBOs training other communities on various wards about their rights, increasing the reach of the project. So actually, as we would do the project, we would actually target a few number of people, but these people would now go back and actually train others in the community, actually ensuring that most of the people in the community are aware of their rights. We also had some investigative research on pollution of Sawe Odzi, which followed a court case that managed to stop mining companies from polluting the river. I'm sure we are all aware of this one. And now I'll go on to FGGIII. Apparently with FGGIII, the results that we have really been seeing that are outstanding are issues to do with corporate accountability. So apparently now there's the ability by community groups to extract and analyze data and use it for advocacy on issues, work on business and human rights, focusing on the United Nations guiding principles. There's corporate accountability work. ZCDC stopped operation without an EIA after the court order that we have actually been using to build capacity of communities to be able to hold corporates accountable is the issue to do with the environmental impact assessments. And I'm sure we all know what these are and how they are done. So apparently communities have been left out, but they are really an important stakeholder to be able actually to use this to monitor and to hold account the mining companies as well as government departments such as the Environmental Management Agency to ensure implementation of such initiatives or tools as the EIA. And then we also to approach other companies such as Murowa, who are also, and the companies in the great granite mining areas in Mutoko. And also capacity strengthening of the Environmental Management Agency. Community monitors are now also linked and working with EMA in areas such as Marangi. And we also started paralegal litigation work, which provided access to remedy for communities. We have also interfaced with duty bearers. And also the issue to do with community journaling and about opportunities that came out of the FGG1 and FGG2 projects. We have opportunities to scale up women, and the open grievance redress mechanism model that I talked about can be adopted by any mining company, and we still need to work on this one. And to continue working with the Zimbabwe Human Rights Project allows us to scale up our work, now moving into new areas and new value chains, such as the gemstones. Challenges, which is my last, become involved in politics. And there is limited resources to reach all mining affected communities. In Mutoko, we ended up working in the 3 most affected wards only. And the assumption that we are anti-development when we call for corporate accountability and transparency, it has also been a challenge to us. And the CBOs that were registered by Zela were at first regarded as parallel structures, but with time, we learned and made sure they operate in harmony with existing government structures. With this, I thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce, for those in 2010 when the project started and where we are. And I think what is particularly interesting and exciting at the same time is stuff that you have managed to change on the ground. And I think to corroborate your remarks, that as a project you've managed to diversify and also ensure that stakeholders, especially a lot of the Chiadzwa residents, allude to the fact that their enlightenment of rights has come from the FGG project, which is actually that you as a project, and also some of those efforts that you're doing or that you have done under the project in terms of pursuing legal justice for communities and affected citizens in line with this whole discourse of mineral resource governance. But to bring about different stakeholders, policymakers, miners, communities, CSOs, the private sector to a whole, and very important. And the ability that you are also doing in terms of tapping into those new instances, and I think this project will really provide some form of leverage and bring in a new dimension to this whole discourse of ensuring that and in this case, the minors and the women themselves. So I think we will take a 30-minute break just to 20 minutes. I think 10 to 15 minutes probably, so that we do not lose, and then we resume after 10 minutes so that we continue with the inception meeting. And I encourage you to just keep on, thinking to tap into things that you think could be critical in terms of this whole discourse of value supply chains of the gemstone and granite sector, so that we can get your insights on how to improve as a program. So thank you so much. We'll be back in 10 minutes time.
Those living in poverty and exclusion.
As ActionAid, we're a global justice organization working to achieve three things: social justice, gender equality, and poverty eradication.
We work in partnership with community-based organizations, national and international NGOs, CSOs, and like-minded organizations in and outside Zimbabwe. ActionAid Zimbabwe has a geographical footprint in 9 local rights development LRPs across 5 provinces in Zimbabwe, namely Manicaland, Mashonaland Central, total of 71,611 people, comprising of 41,972 females and 29,639 males. ActionAid is a global justice organization with a presence in over 40 countries, including Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, we are a locally registered. Our vision is a just, equitable, and sustainable Zimbabwe, in which every person enjoys the right to a life of dignity, freedom from poverty, and all forms of oppression. We work to strengthen the capacity of men and young people, especially those living in poverty and exclusion.
As ActionAid, we're a global justice organization working to achieve three things: social justice, gender equality, and poverty eradication.
We work in partnership with community-based organizations, national and international NGOs, CSOs,